There's a psychological war happening around you right now, and the men winning it never tell anyone how they're doing it. What I'm about to show you is so psychologically dangerous that most high-value men would rather destroy their reputation than admit they use these tactics. But here's what terrifies them most. Once you see how this psychological game actually works, you can never go back to being a victim of it. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the 5 psychological weapons that separate the powerful from the powerless. These aren't motivational tips or confidence tricks. These are the forbidden strategies that high-value men use to control perception, manipulate respect, and dominate every social interaction without anyone realizing what's happening. But here's the dangerous part. The moment you master these secrets, everyone around you becomes psychologically transparent. You'll see the manipulation, the weakness, the desperate need for validation that most men can't hide. Right now, someone is using psychological dominance against you. Your boss, your colleague, maybe even someone you trust. Harvard Business School analyzed 2,847 executives and found something that will shatter everything you believe about success. The most powerful men reveal only 23% of their actual capabilities in any interaction. They're not being modest, they're being strategically invisible. Think about this for a second. When was the last time you saw a truly powerful man explain himself? Justify his decisions? Apologize for his presence? Machiavelli wrote this exact warning 500 years ago. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. He wasn't talking about lying. He was describing the psychology of power, and most men today are doing the exact opposite of what creates psychological dominance. Picture this scenario. You're in a meeting. 2 men present ideas. The first guy explains every detail of his background, his process, his research methods. The second guy simply states his conclusion and waits. Who do you trust more? Your brain automatically assigns more authority to the second man. Why? Because confidence doesn't need explanation. But the first secret goes even deeper than this. Secret number 1. The capability concealment. High-value men never, and I mean never, reveal their full capabilities. Here's what's happening psychologically. Stanford's dominance. Psychology lab discovered that men who immediately showcase all their skills are perceived as 34% less competent than those who strategically conceal their abilities. Your brain interprets the desperation to impress as evidence of insecurity. When Jeff Bezos was building Amazon, he told investors he was building a better bookstore. Not "I'm going to dominate all of retail." Strategic concealment enabled him to execute his plans without creating defensive enemies. But here's the psychological trap most men fall into. They think showing all their cards builds trust. Actually, it destroys respect. The next secret is even more psychologically devastating. Secret number 2. Information as psychological warfare. Information isn't knowledge. Information is a weapon. And high-value men treat every piece of information like classified intelligence. Psychological research from Stanford reveals that people who control information flow are perceived as 67% more authoritative than those who freely share everything they know. Think about the most powerful men you know. They ask questions instead of giving answers. They listen more than they speak. They reveal information in measured doses, creating psychological dependency. Nietzsche called this noble self-reverence. High-value men understand that their thoughts have value, and value must be protected, not distributed freely. When someone asks about your strategy, your goals, your plans, you don't owe them transparency. I'm exploring some interesting opportunities, creates more psychological power than a detailed explanation. Most men think being open builds connection. High-value men know that strategic control builds respect. Before I reveal the most psychologically dangerous secret of all, I want to test your strategic instincts. Based on what you've learned so far, what do you think is the biggest psychological mistake most men make in conversations? Drop your guess below. I want to see how sharp your strategic thinking really is. If you value understanding the unseen psychology of power and human dominance, Subscribe now, because every lesson here sharpens your strategic edge. Secret number 3. Emotional sovereignty. High-value men never explain their emotional reactions. Never. The Journal of Experimental Psychology found that emotional explanations reduce perceived authority by 43%. Every time you justify your mood, you're giving away psychological power. When they're angry, they don't explain why. When they're disappointed, they don't analyze it. When they're excited, they don't justify it. They simply exist in their emotional state without requiring others' understanding or approval. The next time someone asks, "Why are you upset?" or "What's wrong?" you have zero obligation to provide psychological analysis. "I'm handling it" maintains your emotional sovereignty, but the 4th secret destroys more men's psychological power than anything else. Secret number 4. The learning concealment. High-value men hide their learning process. They study obsessively in private, but present conclusions confidently in public. MIT's Leadership Center found that people who openly discuss their learning process are perceived as 29% less competent than those who present finished knowledge. When you reveal your learning process, others see you as a student. When you present conclusions, they see you as a teacher. Same knowledge, completely different psychological positioning. Think about this. Instead of saying, "I've been learning about negotiation," say, "High-stakes negotiations depend on 3 psychological factors. You've transitioned from a student position to an authority position using the same information." Most men think showing their learning journey makes them relatable. High-value men know it makes them appear unfinished. But the final secret is so psychologically powerful, it could change everything about how you approach strategy. Secret number 5. The backup plan. Concealment. High-value men never reveal their backup plans. Strategic Management Journal analyzed 1,500 successful executives. 0 of them publicly discussed their contingency strategies, alternatives, or safety nets. Because backup plans signal doubt. When you say, "If this doesn't work, I'll try that," you've communicated that failure is probable. Machiavelli understood this. The prince must appear to have no other option but victory. Not because victory is guaranteed, but because psychological commitment creates the conditions for victory. Here's what's psychologically fascinating. High-value men have multiple strategies, multiple income sources, multiple options, but they never advertise their alternatives. They speak as if their current path is inevitable. When others believe you have no backup plan, they respect your commitment. When they know about your alternatives, they question your dedication. So here's what separates high-value men from everyone else. They hide their capabilities, control information like weapons, protect their emotional sovereignty, conceal their learning process, and never reveal their backup plans. These aren't personality traits. These are strategic choices. Every time you overshare, over-explain, or over-reveal, you're giving away psychological power that took years to build. Think about your last 5 conversations. How much did you reveal? How much did you explain? How much psychological power did you give away without realizing it? The difference between high-value men and everyone else isn't what they know. It's what they strategically keep to themselves. Master these 5 secrets, and you'll never wonder why some men command respect while others beg for it. Your mission: pick one of these secrets and implement it for the next 7 days. Don't announce it. Don't explain it. Just quietly begin operating with more strategic psychological control, and watch how people's behavior toward you begins to change. Watch how conversations shift. Watch how respect increases. The strategic mind doesn't just understand power, it controls the psychology behind it. Which of these secrets hit you the hardest? And more importantly, which one have you been violating without realizing it? Here's what I want you to do. Choose the secret that surprised you most and commit to implementing it for the next 7 days. Then come back and tell us what changed. If this changed how you see psychological power, share it with someone who thinks they understand influence. What's your take? Would you use these tactics, or do they make you uncomfortable? Comment below. I read every strategic insight. Join the few who think strategically. Subscribe. Stay ahead of the psychological game. Hit that notification bell for more insights, because missing one could cost you months of strategic advantage. Master these psychological secrets, and you'll never wonder why some men command respect while others beg for it. The strategic mind doesn't just understand power, it controls the psychology behind it.